Hi guys, welcome back to A Different Life Story, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Another fantastic day, another beautiful interview. And I've got Lisa David Olson with me. Lisa is a woman who, like all of my guests, has gone through her own trials and tribulations, and she has discovered the power of the most beautiful mind and state altering technique that there can be. No, I don't mean to sit on the highest mountain. No, to have a damn good love about yourself. Lisa is, amongst other things, a comedian and has been in this beautiful profession for many years. So here we have got another depression prevention specialist. And I'm so honored to have Lisa on my show. Good morning to you.
Hello. I'm so happy to finally meet you. We've been chatting for a bit. This is exciting. Thank you for honoring your time. And I'm so happy to be here.
Brilliant. Oh, Lisa. No, and the world seems to need a good laugh. And we all, I think, need to learn again to love ourselves and to laugh about ourselves. And don't take us too serious, because the world is knee deep in shit at the moment, and I can't see it getting better. So, Lisa, it's so important that we bring you on and see how comedy and laughter really saved your life. But when you were a young girl, you didn't really think, I grow up, I'm going to be a comedian. Or were you a girl that was at the age of 5 giving shows in front of her mom and dad?
Yes, I was.
Oh,
but I didn't know that it would become my business. You know, I had my own radio station in my bedroom, and I did become a DJ. And I did put on shows. I had sold out crowds. I mean, I don't mean to brag first thing opening in your show, but I had sold out crowds, and I was doing very much like the Carol Burnett show, which is my favorite, sketch comedies, song parodies, all the things. And it was sold out and standing room only, encores, standing ovations, the works. It was all my Barbies, but an audience is an audience. Okay.
Exactly.
So, I mean, sure that when they clapped, it was hard because, arms, but it doesn't matter because I really did find imagination at an early age, because we didn't walk around with little hand computers with our face, with the bad necks and all the things. So we had imagination and play and exploring and being creative. And it's that which I share with businesses today. All that I've learned from performing transforms into the business life. Entrepreneurs, you need to launch a book during a quarantine time and you can't get together. Let's talk. Let's play new ideas and that kind of thing. So it's really in a childlike mentality, but it works. It works. So if you stop just Googling every dang thing and try and figure it out, you're going to come up with the new thing.
Now, that's a really cool thing. And I 100% agree with you. The problem with being such a creative person at a very early stage, you then end up going through school. And I don't know about your school, but certainly in my school, creativity was not really high up on the list. It was all, no, grades, and you need to learn that, you need to be able to regurgitate that, and free thought and creativity and constructive criticism, things like that, were certainly in my school in Germany, not high on the list. So did they try to beat the creativity out of you? Yeah, and I see.
I can't say that that's their goal. I can't say that they sat in the teacher lounge smoking and eating brownies and saying, "Oh, let's squash all the creativity." Evil laugh. But when we're young, we belly laugh. Here's a made up stat: 132 times a day. Truly belly laugh. Everything is funny. And as we get older and older and older, as adults, we might belly laugh 2 to 4 times a day. That's really sad. because it's free, it's healthy, it raises endorphins, it lowers anxiety, it lowers blood pressure, it demands your focus. Finding something funny demands your full attention. That's a kind of a wild thought. It's as wild of a thought as saying you can't blink when you sneeze, or you can't hold your eyes open. Now you're going to think about that. But when you're young and you're at school, they say, all right, Billy, what is two? What does two look like? And, a little kid, oh, it's rabbit ears, or it's peace, or, it's a tunnel and I'm going through. And then as you get older, no, two is a number and two is this way. This is two. This is two. And they're not doing it in a mean way, but that's what schooling and structure and silos can do. She has to have you say it's two, it's a number, or she can't check mark. That's my passion, is just that creativity is lost just because that's the way we've always done it. So we keep teaching this way.
And I think that's really, really important. I can very much relate to that. My children were schooled in a Christian school. Now, I'm very secular, so initially that was quite an issue for me. But as it turned out, once I met the principal, once I met the teachers, I realized that the values and the way of teaching in there was such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So creativity was very high up on the list, and they created very strong souls. They taught them. That's absolutely cool. And my youngest, especially, he took to that. He ended up having a cup in everything from science to name it. The only thing he didn't get right was his speeches, because he never put the time really in. But apart from that, he had a cup. He was the top dog in this school. Then he transferred after year 8 or year 9. He transferred to a normal school where creativity was not higher, but it was actually the standard. Bang, 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 bang. This is what you need to know. From up there, down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rigid way. And to switch at that age is difficult no matter what.
Exactly.
That was a challenge.
But it was so beautiful. And to this day, he and we as a family have still strong links with the teachers from that school. And whilst I could not even name one teacher from any of the other schools that then went on. So it's quite intriguing, isn't it? When we look at young pupils and young men and young women in a different light and let them grow up in their creativity, yet instill beautiful values and knowledge into them. So here you go. So we both are singing from the same song sheet here. But
it gives me two thoughts, which is there are those schools that are more into creativity, like Montessori schools or what they call STEM schools. And it is more about life skills and not just, what all the levels of algebra. And I'm not putting it down. Yet what you just said mattered. And now let's think about all the parents. Big respect to those that had to do the full-time job and make sure their kids are schooling online. What is this group going to look like because of that disruption? It could be great. It really could be great. Going forward, school will never be the same after this.
So true. So true. The problem is, of course, at the same token, the quarantine brings out not just the best, but also the worst in us. If you look at the amount of family harm and domestic abuse, it has gone skyrocketing. The amount of alcohol abuse, all the not nice ways of coping with stress and distress, we see that more and more, certainly, well, in all countries around the world. So who knows what this pandemic has unleashed, but you're quite right. We will never be the same society again. There is no two ways around that, and therefore
lots of divorces and lots of babies.
Oh, yeah, about this social distancing. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, stuck at home. Lots of why in the hell am I still married to you? And lots of we're pregnant again.
Exactly.
Yeah. My friend just had I call it a COVID kid. She just had a really cute baby. Like,
excellent.
a COVID kid.
Oh God. As long as we don't start calling them like that, as in COVID-19 here. Well, you can imagine at school, as
Right.
COVID, raise your hand, 4 hands up. Oh, shit.
Exactly.
No. But you're right, that belly laugh, that is often so missing. And in my job, I'm an anesthetist, so we work, in quite often adrenaline-driven and very focused scenarios, because we want to do 100% right by the patient when we're in the middle of the operation. Yeah, exactly.
I like that percentage.
Exactly,
You're going to be putting me out.
Exactly. But at the same token, you can't do that over the whole day. And as it so turns out, in a private setting in which I work, most of us are the same age group, more or less like us. And we have learned to not take ourselves too serious. And I'm so pleased that I can say that I beat your statistic. It's not 4 belly laughs. No, we will make sure that there are maybe 40 or 50 a day, and often very bad gallows humor. So it has to be.
That is huge. And when people say, "Oh, I've got a really dark sense of humor," but you know what? At work, your clique, and you have to let that out. Or what kind of person are you if you're carrying that around? You have no release, because by making that joke in private in your circle, you are releasing tension. You are connecting through humor. So you're bonding in a team, and you're also having that ripple effect to the next person you serve. I work with police officers in the day. I'm dispatching records in the day. You can bet there's a lot of humor. And in fact, I love pranks. And so I do prank the cops, and my husband advises against that. But you know what? I said, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. What a great story. Yeah, she got tased to death. I mean, that's a great story. Everybody wants their legacy. Oh, exactly. I don't want to get hit at the grocery store in the parking lot. Boring. Tase me because I was pranking you and I jumped out from underneath the desk. That's a good story. But anyway, the jokes at work that you wouldn't share with the public, and you share this laugh and this, like I said, it brings you together as a team when you share in humor and you release. Then you go to answer the phone, or you go to serve someone who's in distress. You're not bringing them in on that joke, but your joy is contagious, and you're easier to deal with, and you're easier to diffuse that situation or help calm somebody who's got some sort of a complaint. In your situation, you guys are putting in long, long hours dealing with family worries, and the patient has every single patient has the same question that you have to deal with, but you have to act like that's this person asking for the first time, but you've just answered that 40 times today already. If you're joyous, you're going to be calmer and take the time. Give them your attention.
Hell yes.
I mean, when they're alert, not when you put them out. They shouldn't be talking. Otherwise, you suck.
Yep. That's the famous story. My granddad always said that you should always leave your audience wanting more. Great guy, shit anesthetist. Anyhow, bad. So
I woke up during my colonoscopy, by the way.
Yeah, but the colonoscopies, that's the problem. They're doing sedation, and depending upon where you are in this world, some people, probably sadists who made that rule, if you give more than 5 milligram of midazolam to a patient, then this is a critical incident amongst the surgeons. And you think, what? I don't even start with 5 milligram of midazolam as an anesthetist, because I don't want them to remember that. I want them to be snoozy ass. I want them to have a laugh on their face because we've joked around. And then the next thing, I want them to wake up and say, "But no, you haven't done it. No, I don't believe you." That's what I do. That's what the anesthetist does. So I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not surprised to hear that. Right.
Oh no, there was no trauma. I asked for wallet-sized pictures. I thought that was awesome to look at the inside of my own belly.
It is actually. Thank you.
I thought that was awesome. Who gets to see their own guts?
Exactly. And you can say, I've got guts. Okay. You
That's
have
right.
seen it. There you
Medically
go.
proven.
But coming back to the humor, it is, and you were saying amongst the team, so there is very much the role of a debrief, of a release of tension, of all these kind of things. But I think it is the same when it comes to patients or when it comes to people in distress. And you have to be really, really good in that. And you have to gauge every situation in the right way. But it's not uncommon. I would say the majority of cases is where I use humor to de-escalate a situation, and patients who are white knuckling, who are shit scared, and you see the petrified look.
Right.
As an anesthetist, I work with technicians. So we have got one technician per case per anesthetist. So we're a double team. And I've got most of my people, we are really, really good in comedy. And one guy in particular, when we come on, we should be on stage, for crying out loud, because we can play it perfectly. There is this perfect synchronicity, and one of us starts off and the other one just follows suit, and it's like a good tennis game. Bang, 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 bang. And the patient is in between us and just laughs their head off. And it's just anything. But we are that age group where we can still take the mick out of those things that are now increasingly considered impossible to talk about, from a religion to sexuality to gay to, I mean, we do a gay routine between the two of us, and it is our patients are pissing themselves. And this is not to put anyone gay in any thing. It is simply going over the top and in such a way that it's still okay, but for the patient to just think, oh my God, what numbnuts, and break the ice, break the routine, break their distress. And and everyone loves it. So
plus, you know your audience. By the time you've had a couple of sentences and they're nervous, they're going to say something that kind of tells you their stature or something. You test the waters and you know your audience.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So
I think that's great. And when you work together like that, you do have a routine. You are absolutely right. For me, it's my chief and I. The chief.
Right.
He is, oh my gosh, he scared me so bad yesterday. And he acts like he's not trying to, but he was around the corner. And I'm so bad about being scared. But I almost spit out. I was drinking water and I walked around and there he stood, and I jumped and then did that. Like, what would have even happened? For one, I'm not going to hurt the man. He's solid. For two, by the time I had this, I would have been on the ground. It's just ridiculous. My reactions are horrible. And in my 20s, I got my black belt. That doesn't mean anything for me. It just means I made it through the test. It doesn't mean I have lightning reflexes like the Pink Panther movies.
A Pink Panther.
But when you get that routine together, what's so fun, like for you and your tech guy who you said you have this routine, when somebody else comes in, you can reuse your same stuff and you can count on each other to fill it in. And that's what you're doing. But you are including someone else in on the fun. And that's what proper humor does. It includes others in on it. We all have those jokes that are like, oh, remember that time we went to the store and, the ketchup bottle dropped, and then you and I can make a ketchup joke at any time and it's funny, but no one else gets it. But when you're including other people, they have that experience. You calmed them down, you included them in on the fun, and then everybody got to share the joy later. It's just, that's what it's supposed to be.
Indeed. And if you think. I couldn't agree more. And the cool thing is, if you actually look at it from a doctor's point of view, from a physiology point of view, what do you do when you laugh? You take a really deep breath. Well, if you look at any bloody breathing techniques that is calming you down, I bet it includes taking a damn good breath.
Yes.
And going out. And that's exactly what you do. It's exact. Right. So here you go. You're doing mindfulness because you're now living in the moment, because you're focusing on this hilarious or so stupid joke that it makes you laugh. And it is so beautiful. So humor, please, it is so important. And And the reason I say that is I can pull it off. I have lost my inhibitions, and I can do that showmanship, while some of my colleagues are.
Yes,
And
which also can be funny.
oh, please, yes. But
Or
then
how about the person who doesn't get it and you have to explain it?
oh dear. No, I guess the point is that some of my colleagues who are absolutely by the letter and who really have that stick sort of
Yes.
welded to their spine. They
Well, I call them the branch manager because they got the stick way up in there.
and they often enough end up in trouble with the patients. They are typically high quality. They are typically up there in their knowledge, in their skills, etc. Yet it's the breakdown in communication. It's the not being the human person. So therefore, to be able to love about yourself, it's one of the biggest skills you guys can learn out there. Don't take yourself so bloody serious, and mean it when you get caught with your trousers around the ankles. Okay, if that happens, do a little jingle, do a little dance. Okay. This is me in my underwear. That's right. This is me in my underwear. Okay. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But again, Linda, we are people who have gone through hell and back. And typically that gives you then the insights and allows you the freedom to release your creativity, to not give yourself too much grief. And you might not get it always right. Not all jokes make everyone laugh, etc.
Nope.
And one way you described yourself prior to the show was as the embarrassing mum. So obviously, not everyone likes your jokes.
That's right.
How do you deal with criticism? How do you deal with the moment that you try to make a joke and it completely plummets like a rock into the ocean?
Like any good stand-up comic, you blame the room. You just say, well, you guys aren't smart enough. No, I've seen comics do that. No, I don't do that. But I've seen comics do that. I've hosted enough comedy where I've seen most everything.
Right.
And they're like, well, Missouri got these jokes. What's wrong with you guys? You know, lose a room.
No.
You better make the audience feel smart. And whether you're on social media or in a room live or at work, make your audience feel smart. That's a secret tip from me to you. And you will get that likability. If they like you, they want you to do well. So for 20 years, I've run and performed in a sketch, improvisation, song parody troupe, and done a little bit of stand-up comedy on the side. I've opened for some pretty big names that I'm proud of and done some good things. And it doesn't all happen. So what you do is you keep going. Because if you call attention to that drop, and then the whole room gets sucked in. But in improvisation, when I ask the room, give me a place where two people might meet, give me an unlikely sporting event, give me an animal, and I put some things together and create a scene, they are part of it. And it's beautiful because they don't have to get up out of their seat. They don't have to be in the spotlight. They don't have to think of anything else. They shout it out, eyelash curler, and it made the scene. They're in it. And therefore, they want you to do well because they're vested in it now. That's something I didn't catch right away. It took me many years to go, they're part of this. I knew they were part of it, but they're part of this. So now we all want this scene to work out. And that also transfers over to your business conversations, your podcasts, your calls about anything for you. Coach, there's a lot of coaches out there, many, many different kinds of coaching. Once you figure out how to include everybody and not just tell them what they're doing, they're vested in it all being a good outcome.
So true.
So if I bomb and I eat it, but I don't draw a bunch of attention to it. I just think, how could that go better? And every audience is different. Don't beat yourself up too hard. Just keep going. Are you ever at work and maybe you were texting your husband or your wife and you finish the text, love you, and then you're on this call and you're like, yep, love you, and you just said that to some client or your dentist or something.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's happened.
Done that.
Sign your emails, love you. It's like,
and you
why don't you come to my office?
Want to die. Been there, done that.
Yeah. Multitasking is doing two things at the same time badly.
Ooh, ouch. I'm a master in that. I can tell you. I think that is such an important bit, I went to a course on real estate investing, and the gentleman was a very vivacious Canadian who was bouncing around up there, really cool dude. And he, in a quiet moment, he said that he did his course in Germany. And there he was. Come on, boys, give me a yes if you want to make money. Silence.
Cricket.
That's right, tumbleweed going through. And the whole audience was like that. And and we are talking about a whole weekend, basically. So he was giving it all, and he was nearly performing harakiri. I mean, he is for crying out loud. And then when it came to the cell, and he said, okay, now that you know what we're doing here, who would like to be part of that? Simplified. And half of the group came bent forward. Here's my credit card. And he was gobsmacked. It was one of his best sell kind of weekends. And he asked them later over dinner, guys, I couldn't get any reaction out of you. And they said, quite cool, you have to convince us that you're worth it, kind of a thing. So expectations of your audience can be very, very different. But for him, I can just feel his frustration. One joke after the other, zero response.
That would hurt. That would just hurt my gut.
I know. Him reliving that story when he told it to me, I saw his eyes break. This kind of soul destroying experience. But guess what, guys? Soul destroying experiences are there every day.
Right.
And I think that it's that old adage that you're only a failure if you stay down. Get beaten down 8 times, you get up 9 times.
Right.
And that is so important. It doesn't mean to say that you have failed. It just means your approach, maybe in this particular setting, was maybe not so successful. Okay, or it was successful, you just haven't realized it yet. So it's so important to never give up.
And what if you don't look at it as a big failure, but you look at it as, well, that's going to make a great story? Because it did. Touché. It made a great story.
Touché. Hell yes. So coming back to you, though, so here you were, this bouncy, vivacious show host with your Barbies. Then school came along. And at some stage, once you're in the last years of school, you will get more focused. And comedy probably did not play such a big role there. How did the story continue? I mean, did you soon get back to performing, or did your life take a detour?
Actually, there's a reason I had escape as humor being that for me. There's a reason humor was an escape, is I grew up in a traumatic home. My mother was a raging alcoholic who was a functioning alcoholic. She rarely missed work, and she would feign being ill for attention. So I know that she was self-medicating. Now I know as an adult that she was self-medicating to cover up mental issues. I mean, it just wasn't right. And so there are days she might faint in front of us, myself and my 3 siblings. It happened so often that I'm not proud to say, but I was a kid. We walked around her because we knew that's what mom does. And she had an old thermometer with mercury, and I caught her when I came around the corner. She was holding it on the light bulb to feign like she had a fever. She would beat us with a belt, with a brush, with a ruler, yardstick, whatever was near, pull us out of bed, go through the garbage, who threw away those mushrooms, go clean the bathroom, who left that seat up in the night, because that's when her rage was exploding in the dark. So night frights are real. I still have, hey, therapy is a good thing. Everybody should try it. I'm not making light of it. Don't be whining on Facebook. Don't be talking to your friends. Talk to a professional. That has helped me come a long way. But the thing is that humor became my escape. So I pretended that Carol Burnett raised me. Carol Burnett had her variety show, and she was raised by her grandparents because her parents were alcoholics. So I would escape and pretend that Carol Burnett raised me. I'm still looking for a phone call from her. I just want 8 minutes, Carol. And so she is the one that helped me escape and helped me see the lighter side. And if we could make mom laugh, not in the moment of a rage, but if we could make her laugh at some point, she wasn't beating us. That worked. You learn that early on. And after a situation in the night, the siblings and I would comfort each other with humor. We would do, just goofy jokes, or we would pretend to be somebody like one of our parents' friends, swearing Daryl. Everything he said was an F word. So we would be swearing Daryl, and we would talk bad and just say all the naughties. And we would entertain each other to keep each other's spirits up during this really hard time. So when you ask me about school, so I couldn't have friends over because I didn't know which mom she would be, because there were light moments. She loved us to play, and she loved to cook, and she loved these things. And then there was the dark, the beatings, the screaming, the feigning illness. That's just not right. And I left school at 17. I left home at 17. I left school in 10th grade, and I took off. I was out of there. So my siblings each dealt with it in their own way. And that was my escape. So really, I've always worked. I didn't have a car. I just left. And I have just became this hard worker like my mother was. It's not a surprise to me. But eventually I got into a singing group, and then they offered that. This one lady said, there's this improv and comedy troupe you should try out. And I was like, I can sing. I think I'm funny. And I'm thinking about how cool I am. And then she said, yeah, we need another woman. So at that point I was like, oh, I got girl parts. Let's go. So I did try out, won a spot. And again, later on, I ended up running and owning the troupe. And we did win some local awards and entertain people. So that's my snip book. And that's what's in my book that I was telling you about. It's all in snippets, because some of it's the crap that happened, but then there's the light part that happened, and the back and forth. And the main thing that I learned is boundaries, and that just because it's your family doesn't mean you owe them anything. Sorry to say, that's what it is, because I had to stop being in touch with my mother at certain times. I had to take care of my children and choose that. My comedy family was there, and that's who I could trust. And that's what improvisation taught me. Trust in a scene. I have your back. I won't let you fail. We're both in this together. There's so many lessons in that that carry over into the real world. And who's got your back? Is it your drunken uncle that you're afraid to invite over for Thanksgiving? Or we have to invite him because he's family. Are you sure? You get this crappy feeling in your gut when you think about him. Why would you allow them near you? Over years, that's what I decided. Out of 3 siblings, I'm only in touch with one, and there's certain friends that come and go. So it's really a choice. And my life is choices, not excuses.
And that is when you have gone through hell, you do no longer take things for granted. I think that was the biggest lesson for me. I was so selfish in the wrong way when I was drinking. Yet nowadays I am again very selfish, but in a very self-loving and protective way. I make sure that I look after myself. I make sure that when I come home, I get 10 minutes to myself to actually just calm down from work, and then I'm ready, instead of immediately being bombarded with problems that meanwhile have arisen at home whilst I was at work. And so things like that. So I'll take time out. And when I'm tired, I say so. As an example, I was quite intrigued because the same thing happened just in the last 24 hours. I had planned to compete with my son together in a competition in a week's time, actually. And so we were there, and he actually pulled out and said, look, I don't want to do it. I'm actually burned out. I've trained too hard every single day. I'm actually burning out, and I can't do it. Look, I don't want to go. And initially I was pissed off because I felt let down, etc. But here was this man, a young 18-year-old man, who had the insight to listen to his body and said, look, Dad, I'm burning out. I don't think I should go. And he had the trust and the guts. He knew that he would hurt me, but at the same token, he was able to put himself in a healthy way first. And I had to sleep on that. And this morning I gave him the hugest hug and said, wow, I'm so proud of you that you're able to look after yourself first, that you're able to recognize when enough is enough, that you don't conform to pressure that you somehow put in your own head. No, you can see through the fog of life, and it's so beautiful. So wow. Exactly. What a powerful thing. And how cool is that?
Never, ever forget that.
Exactly right.
Oh, so you actually gave me chills in saying that, because what a reset you put yourself through, and you have the sense to not react. But as parents, we want to fix everything. Oh, you should try. You need to go do this thing. You know what? That's on us. Once they're 18, you did the exact right thing. I really applaud that. I hope more people can hear this and do that. They'll never forget that.
True. But it is such a huge learning curve equally for us, because I've never been in this situation, or at least not consciously. And here I am, and I had to, and it was so bizarre, because for the last 24 hours, I went through this roller coaster of emotion, from anger, being betrayed, being all these negative things that immediately come out. And then I thought, actually. And then I was actually really proud, but sad at the same token. Then I was depressed. And it was, And why I say that here, guys, is these challenges will come every single day. Every single day there are new challenges arising, either from the pandemic or from work or from your family. It is what it is. And it is, I so invite you onto Lisa and my path, where we have learned to go through the dark times and to develop skills that work for us. And with that, I don't mean 2 bottles of vodka down in one. It helps you for, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours, when you're just right, listening to that music and being 18 again and forgetting everything. Rest assured, the problems have not gone away when you wake up. No. Now
you have problems and a hangover.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, exactly. And the guilt and the shame and so on. And then you have to hide the bottles. And then you probably don't have the money. Yeah, exactly. And so on. So it is so beautiful, Lisa, to hear you reliving those dark moments and seeing the positive side that has come out of that nowadays. And
I just broke the circle. I did not keep that going with my kids. And once they were old enough to understand, I let them know there's alcoholism on both sides of their family. And it was they were young, like maybe 9-ish, 10-ish, that I told them so. And I wanted them to understand and know that they could come to me and talk to me about it and understand why I don't have a relationship with my mom at times. And I was very, very open about it.
Brilliant.
And they are young men now. They're 23 and 25, and they can go get their own booze all they want. And the thing about you talking to your son and about that situation that struck me was that you you went through the emotions, you're going to, but you didn't act on them in the moment. That's huge. And I can't say I'm always engaged in that. I'm working on it. We're all a work in progress. But what that reminded me of as well is how we take and read and absorb a text or an email. That is in whatever mood we're in. And how many times is that misconstrued? That we think, oh, well, I guess she's too busy for me. And really all they were saying was, I'm still interested, but it'll be down the way. I mean, it's the same thing. I was connecting to what that's like when it's a text or the written word. You know, if we would all just take a second to just breathe through it, don't respond right away. You don't have to comment on everything on Facebook.
So true, so true, so true. And maybe from now and then even switch off and even do whilst this phone is part and parcel of me because I use it so constructively for many reasons. At the same token, I'm so acutely aware of that I have that bloody thing there. Yes. So therefore to have a hobby where you can't have a phone on you, that is, probably not a bad idea.
Making choices.
Touché.
It's all about choices. I love what you said about your son, though. That was a big moment and that wasn't easy, but you made the right choice and he'll never forget that.
Exactly. And I'm a little bit proud of myself, I must say.
Yeah,
now
means he can come to you.
Yeah.
He can talk to you and not be afraid, oh, Dad's going to blow up.
Having said that, let me go back to the time when you were touring. Now, the last time I looked, this is a pretty high octane and stressful and tiring thing to travel around, travel the whole day and then perform all night. And the last time I looked, there was typically a lot of alcohol involved in such things. How did it go in your tour? Where was alcohol a temptation to unwind for you?
We do have, sometimes after a show, we would have a drink, but if we were out and driving, so we would take turns or just not imbibe too heavily at all. We were more about the food. After a performance, you can't eat and go and be, because I'm more of a physical comic. I like to, I'll be the one dancing or falling down or be on roller skates. I love to be physical. You can't have a full belly and do that. So you'd have a little bit of a snack, perform, sweat, change clothes, run. You're starving. Give me a pizza to myself. So for us, it was more about the food. It definitely wasn't a big party time. In fact, I used to be in a band years ago and we were dry. We didn't, even though we were playing in a bar, you can't. Luckily, the people in my band were the same way. I drink once in a while, but it wasn't about, like some bands you'll see have booze on the stage the whole time. And I don't understand that because I want to be in the moment. I don't want to miss anything.
I know. I remember many concerts I went to in the 80s, 90s, where the Pokes were the classic. The Pokes, an Irish punk rock band, and the singer came on with a whole bottle of whiskey. And by the time the 2/3 into the show, the whiskey was gone.
Wow, no way.
Oh yeah. And needless to say, I mean, I couldn't understand him to start off singing because he had this Irish twang to it. But certainly I couldn't understand him 2/3 into the show. So here you go. This was different times and different attitudes. I guess in the 80s, which were sort of my, developing years, alcohol was such an integral part of society in Germany.
Yes.
All my heroes in the films were drunk down and out kind of anti-heroes, the Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon and Bruce Willis, alcohol was part and parcel of it. So damn. And I'm really pleased to hear that you were not drawn into that, because amazingly, many of my guests, whilst they have got a strong background with their families, that their parents were raging alcoholics, they then dropped into the same trap. And it is so interesting that it just, the story keeps reappearing until someone takes the screwdriver to the vinyl and actually says, nah, I will not do the same song again. Enough is enough. Okay.
I've never heard that saying. Is that Is that an original?
I don't know. I just thought about it. It is.
I felt that. That was bad.
Yeah, well, exactly. No, the point is you need to change. And because you need to focus on what is important to you and what makes you stronger, not destroys you.
And it's choices. And, nobody's going to do it for you. What are you waiting for? We get one spin on this big round rock. And yes, I think it's round. So fight me on it. You get one spin, man. I don't know what you think happens after. We don't know. So you do know you have today. Yeah. You do know that you have a book in you. You Absolutely. Do know that you don't have to have initials after your name to write your book, to share your story. Why should I share my story? Because we are connected through storytelling, because you matter, because it's an accomplishment. That's one of the things I talk to people about. Well, I don't know if I should write it. Really? So write it. Do you hurt anybody by, I self-published my book and it's out there and it can be done. It's just one of those things that people hesitate on. Okay, so keep waiting. How's that serving you?
Exactly right. And if a life is worth living, it's worth writing down. It's worth documenting. And this is so important. No, I agree.
We connect through stories. Now, I'm not saying I didn't drink when I was a kid, because of course I did. It was all over the place. We all have that one alcohol that we can say and we kind of go, ooh. Yeah. I got very ill. So I was drinking by the time I was 13, 14, somewhere in there. You too. Okay. So it was just prevalent at your home? Is that how it started for you?
No, at home. On the contrary, I said, hey, I want to feel how it is when you're drunk. And my mum said, okay, here's this whiskey. Go for it. And she had the bucket next to it. And she said, see how it feels like for you. And I got drunk and I got so sick. And to this day, whiskey is not my friend because the sheer smell of it.
Yes.
Oh, yep. There you go.
You just shuddered.
And it is, But having said that, did that ever stop me then? Did that ever stop me? No, because alcohol serves its purpose. And especially in someone like me who was insecure, who was shy deep inside, who had no skills, no life skills that would give myself the backbone, the guts, the balls to actually stand up for myself and to be myself. No, I always wanted to be someone else. I always wanted to, I don't know. I was just not a mature person until I started growing up, end of 40s, then nowadays I can look in the mirror and say, hey, I like you. No, I love you.
Nice. And you really wink at yourself like that?
Oh, absolutely. No, the sad thing is I did that when I was younger, and it was all the bullshit macho crap. And so no, that doesn't go down anymore because it reminds me too much of the other me that I was in the past. It was all facade. It was all mask. Yes, and it just, oh God, no. And that's where I am the embarrassing that nowadays, because I don't give a toss how I look, how I, certain things just run off me like water of a duck's back. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And my kids would be embarrassed. And it's just, Dad, you're in your underwear. Yes, it's 32 degrees out there. What do you think? Yeah, but the curtains are drawn. People could see you. And I look out there, baby. And there is so much greenery and shrubbery out there, unless they have got a bloody good binoculars. And even then, they can't go jump. And but it's that
it's
kind
my
of a
house.
That's what it's kind of a thing. So it is. I wouldn't have it any other way. But no, hell, I had to go through hell and back before I now can, true hand on my heart, say I don't give a toss about these masks anymore. No. And what you see is what you get, kind of thing.
Can you imagine if we had that attitude when we were in our 20s? If we had been, you can't tell a 20-year-old. And a human doesn't even have their fully mature brain until 25.
Correct.
You can't tell them. Couldn't tell me.
Yeah. Oh, true. It's so
What would
sad.
you tell your 20-year-old self, knowing what you know?
I've been thinking hard about that for a while because I wanted to condense it down to one sentence, and I can't. So if you've got 3 hours, let's talk. But in a nutshell, be bold and stop taking yourself so serious. Learn to relax. Learn to unwind, and make mistakes until your lips bleed, until because the more mistakes you can make and laugh about them and learn from them, the better you get, because you figured out what does not work, which is fantastic. Now you can move on, try what works. And the point you made about the creativity is so important. Make your own mistakes and learn from them, and learn from them in a safe environment. But do make mistakes. The more, the better. That's what I would say.
I love that. Yes. Because we're taught so early that a mistake is bad and you better fix it. You better hide it. You better make it right. You know what? It's so much better to, and something my boss says is an ugly lie is better than a pretty excuse. So if you've done something, you come to somebody and say, I just scratched your car, or oops, your cat is dead. I don't know. But
but it was a nice curry, I have to say.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, that took me a second. So, if you own your mistake, that's how then what are you going to do? You're sorry. I screwed up. Now what? But you get twisted in the cover up, and what are you going to do? Lie the rest of your life on this one thing?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the principle of ownership, the principle of extreme ownership. Jocko Willink, US Navy SEAL, wrote this book, and he lives by this mantra of extreme ownership, of basically integrity, of doing the right thing when no one is looking, but of whatever happens, you take ownership in the sense of, how did you contribute to that? Was there? It's ultimately whatever happens is your story, because if someone didn't do his job, then did you teach him enough? Did you provide him with the right tools to do the job, etc.? If your boss screws up, well, did you give your boss the right information that he can act with, etc.? So to actually take yourself, to see yourself as part of life, as part of things, that is such a beautiful concept. And for me, it's such a beautiful concept because I was the guy who was always blaming others. And that's what you do as an alcoholic. Look what you did to me. Ha. I drink 2 bottles of whiskey now. Ha ha. I show you. And it's that kind of attitude. Okay. Oh, the resentment, the anger, that was me. And to actually then do step 4 in the AA kind of system, in the 12-step program, where you take a careful inventory and an in-depth inventory of everything that has been occurring, and then add the last column to it, and where you say, well, okay, all that happened. I hate him. I resent him because of that. That's how he made me feel. And then the next bit is a bit down the line. You actually come back to that and say, well, actually, how did I contribute to that story? What was my part to that story? Suddenly you have to say, damn. And that's exactly what extreme ownership is, to actually own up that you're part of life, and that you are, it takes 2 to tango. So
sure. Even in a car crash, if your car is hit, even though it was only parked, you're 10% responsible because you exist. There's some sort of stat like that. I exist, so I'm partly responsible, even though I parked where I was supposed to park.
I'm not sure that I go this far in my extreme ownership.
I'm talking extreme.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. Oh, damn, Lisa, you're so right. There's so much we can learn from comedy, from improv. But I think your story is just so beautiful because it is a story of trauma. It is a story of hardship. It is a story of you finding yourself again and again through comedy in a better state. You changed your state from putting a smile onto your sibling's face after a night event to nowadays putting a smile onto a colleague's face and making them crack up.
Yes.
That is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I just want to commend you. I want to say, wow, that you found this ability and that you found the ability to heal yourself in the process is so fantastic.
Thank you. I still have therapy, so I will never say I did it myself, but I made the right choices. Choice. And I still embarrass my kids. But yes, I find the connection through humor, and I really love my work in being a creative partner with businesses and people because I love stories and I get to learn somebody else's story. And that is how we are connected. That and humor, it all comes in and no harm. We just learn from each other. If I give you an idea, you give me an idea, we each have two ideas. And that's the way it should be.
And what typically happens is these ideas start bouncing. And two people like us today, so this interview was beautiful, bouncing like a tennis ball back and forth, and creating new thoughts. So you say something, I thought about something, etc. What a creative duo we have been here today. Imagine that we would do the same with other problems that we're facing in work, that we are facing in relationships, that we're facing, intergenerational between children and grown-ups, and actually put things on the table and say, be honest, and love about it, and say, yesterday, when I said that, I was such an idiot. I'm so sorry. And I think that's the biggest thing when I say this to my children and they look at me, and sometimes there's this kind of, what do you want to say with that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. That's right. But I'm sure there's something negative that you want to blame me with it. And I said, no. I've been a dick. The way I responded was stupid because I was hungry, angry, I was wound up from work, and I completely misread what you actually wanted to tell me. And it's that kind of moment that I wouldn't want to miss, because that is so beautiful.
And look what you're teaching them just by showing them. Yeah. And I have stepsons, and that is something they didn't have before. And I do that. And I don't know if there's a coincidence because of the alcoholic background or something, or living with alcoholism, nature, nurture. But that is something in my repertoire as well. I own it. Yeah, I could have done better. You know what? I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, and I am sorry. And there's an art to an apology. Instead of going, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings, when I should have just had a Snickers bar and let's go forward. That also opens up the door for a family or whoever to do the same for you. I love that you brought that up. That is huge. The art of apology and owning it. Where can you go from there? How can they be mad at you?
Exactly.
I mean, they can, but we all, instead of deflecting, you just own it and say, yeah, that sucked. So let's cool down.
And this show was sponsored by Snickers. Kidding. Stop it.
And colonoscopies.
Yeah, that's right. Oh dear. Look, it is time in this show to quickly show our books. Bring your book forward. Bring your book. That's right. So that we can see it better.
Here's my journal that I published locally, and it's called What Ifs and Why Nots. It's creative cues to help you get unstuck with ideas. And I'll be writing a business book as well with tips for
nice
how I use my background. And then I've got Laughs on Rye, an improviser's memoir. So a life made of choices and finding humor through childhood abuse, failed marriages, and other hurdles. And in it, you will find my project in Bravery, where I do serious selfies with strangers. Not only do I get to ask a stranger for a photo, but I ask them to not smile, which makes you laugh. Picture being somewhere where you're not supposed to laugh and you're out to eat and you ask this table next to you, hey, can we do a serious selfie? Look at them.
I hate that. My boys are doing that all the time.
These are my friends now. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
So dare yourself daily. Do silly stuff because it's a connector and you never know. It might be your next new best friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that is the amazing thing with us here connecting today on the show. We already have we had such a cool hour.
Yes.
So please, we will stay in touch. There's very little doubt about that. And
yes.
It came out of the blue. We just happened to have the same interests, and I happened to have a show, and you happen to be a guest.
Yes.
And suddenly we know each other. So guys out there, often enough, this world, especially nowadays, can be quite a lonesome and scary place. What was to happen if you just make that initial step and putting yourself out there, maybe in a discussion forum, maybe via a Zoom talk, maybe via if you're dealing with addiction yourself, why not listening into an AA Zoom meeting, or there are many other smart recovery, etc. There are many other things. Why not make that first little step? What could possibly go wrong?
No judgment.
Exactly.
No one's perfect.
Exactly. And human connection can be so powerful and healing. Man, it is.
Somebody figured out to put peanut butter and jelly together. So you put two people together, some sandwich is going to come out of it.
Oh, that's right. Oh God. I get all the wrong bad jokes now coming into my mind.
I keep trying to get it out of you, but okay.
No. I try to be, the responsible host, and not going too dark and too quick, because, you're just, the problem, of course, is when you're putting yourself out there. We call it tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand. It is people don't like you to be successful. People don't like you to be out there, outspoken, etc. That makes you a target inevitably. And it is that skill of trying not to make yourself too much of a target. Okay, so I was very tempted to come out. I mean, the cat joke, for Christ's sake. So I will now get SPCA immediately. No, what a show! How dare he? And that's right. So and I said something about a gay routine. Oh my God, the LGBT.
Look at you beating yourself up, just bringing attention back to it. That's
right. That's right. Bad technique. But I guess I want to say that. I want to say that because I was a guest on a show and that's right. I called myself an emotional retard when I was drinking, and the host squirmed. And I want to very quickly highlight that this show supports all people I don't know even what now the right words are to be used, but it was so bad. And it was, I think we need to be careful that we include all the people in our society and treat them all right. It doesn't matter color, skin, whatever, religion, bring them all together, but have a love about each other, about ourselves. Don't take ourselves so seriously, and we need to be politically incorrect. We need to laugh about ourselves, okay? Then we can address the real problems, rather than putting little rainbows onto our Facebook picture and then do fuck all else. No, actually.
Well said.
Exactly.
Yes.
So have the hard discussions around the dinner table. That's more important than the rainbow on your picture, okay?
Yes.
So
beautifully said. That is a gem. That is a gem.
Cool. Lisa, I'm so grateful that you have been a guest on my show. Life is too short, and to speak to someone who truly, truly appreciates the importance of comedy and teaches others to live a more beautiful life that is so much more fulfilling and making them change and experiencing the ball of energy that you experience when you're on stage.
Right.
When you said yourself you're that bouncing around comedian. Same here. Once I get into this groove, I love it. Guys, this is not show here. This is not show. What we are doing is we are changing our state, and we are actually living this passion, and we're living it to the fullest. So guys, what stops you? Right? What can you do? What's that next little step that you can do to come onto the same journey as we did? We were in dark places, and we are coming out now, and we're changing and becoming better and better and better in what we're doing. And so, guys, big invitation from Lisa and me: share this journey with us. Yes. And indeed, Lisa, if your story resonates with them, how can they find you?
Yes, and seek the punchlines, not the headlines. That's what I want to say.
Nice one.
Yeah, find me on Facebook, Lisa David Olson, and I also have a comedy page on Facebook called Counterclockwise. And in 3 short months, I've already got over 2,000 people, because we all want to laugh and we all want to just share in the joy. So join me over there. I'm looking for my TED Talk, so maybe you'll see me on that soon.
Nice,
and Instagram, so Lisa David Olson. And I have a comedy album out. It's all telemarketer calls and how I messed with them and did not let them get to their sales pitch. And that's called Fun on the Phone on iTunes. So fun is PHUN on the phone. Or just reach out. I'll connect you.
Perfect.
Oh, my podcast is Stranger Connections. Stranger Connections, where I invite the wonderfully weird and the quirky life stories. So everybody's got to be a weirdo. So send me your weirdos.
I can't wait. I need to check you out. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you do.
Lisa, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. You were a spark of light into my morning. How better to start my morning?
We are now friends.
And I am honored to say that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And you guys out there, look after yourself. Okay. And what is right now something you can do to make your life better? Maybe have a glass of water, maybe eat something healthy. You're just having a sandwich, put that leaf of lettuce in there. Come on, you can do it. And these are little steps. Now imagine where you could go if you keep repeating and repeating and repeating. Compound interest, guys. Look after yourself. Bye.